Hello, everybody. Welcome back to AI on Air podcast. Today, we're very honored to have Nalin here to walk us through about his journey on now AI and Web3 and his role at Google Web3 and what they're doing right now. Actually, right before the podcast, I was a chit chat with him and already heard a lot of exciting things that we want to dig into that in the podcast. So, do you want to give a quick intro about yourself?
Sure. Hey, everyone. I'm Nalin. I lead a lot of our Web3 product efforts in Google Cloud. So we partner with a lot of blockchains to offer developer infrastructure, whether it's public data in BigQuery or an RPC or a faucet, testnet faucet, so you can get started building very quickly. We're also building our own ledger called GCUL, Google Cloud Universal Ledger. And we're also working on, wallet infrastructure, key signing infrastructure, so you can safely handle assets. So those are like the three big areas that we're working on. I've been at Google for about 10 years now. Sounds crazy to say. I've been in the Bay for 22 years, and I've been involved in crypto since 2013 in one way or another. So excited to chat with you guys.
Yeah, thanks, Johnny. Our office in SF as well.
Yeah, actually, by the way, guys, if you didn't, you probably see this setup the first time because Nana actually visited our office today, and we decided to go with this more in-person, all-together style compared to what we did before. But yeah, so maybe start from even Nana. What brought you into crypto in the first place? Like you have been there for 10 years, and we know each other from the very beginning since we started the company, so you're always leading a lot of product side at the Google Web3 team.
Yeah, I think my journey's been like all over the place. I think when I first started, it was very like speculative. Like I didn't know much about the industry. Someone told me like, Bitcoin has the potential to be the future of money. I'm like, I don't know what that means, but okay, like I should think about that, or I'm interested in it. So started investing a little bit in Bitcoin. And then I think it wasn't until Ethereum came out that I really started getting excited about the potential, because smart contracts and the potential there of, cutting out intermediaries and allowing for really interesting business models to happen really got me excited. And so I started building with Solidity. I started playing around with smart contracts. I actually built a no-code smart contract platform for payment flows, so you could do like splits. If you're familiar with 0x splits, it was kind of like that around the same time. But ultimately, I was at Google. I had two young kids, and I was able to find a role. I found out that Google Cloud was investing in Web3, which was really exciting, and I said, let me try to join that team. And I basically bugged James Tromans, who's our GM of Web3, until he let me be on the team. So I feel very honored to be working on Web3 and crypto at Google, and kind of ushering the company into that new space. It's been a fun journey.
Definitely. I felt like Google has always been here to kind of help facilitate the infrastructure supports to the whole blockchain industry. And last year, apparently, you guys even launched your own ledger, which is relevant to today's topic as well, which seems like focus a lot on the payment side. And also, you guys has been working with the AP2 team, very closely from day one. So would love to also dig into that part a little bit more to see what makes you guys now really doubling down or focusing on some of those products decisions or product roadmaps, and why you're focusing on those type of use cases.
Yeah, I mean, I think AP2, which is agentic payments protocol, right, really was a natural extension from A to A, which was agent to agent. So, I think about a year ago, we started thinking about how are agents going to communicate with other agents. They're very non-deterministic. You need some common rule book for these kinds of interactions, right? If you're going to have a shopping agent and a merchant agent and a whole host of different kinds of agents out there that add value, how are these all going to communicate with each other? And so we built A to A, which was an agent to agent protocol, an open protocol, extensible protocol, which I believe the Linux Foundation now owns. We've handed it off to them. As people started adopting A to A, one of the common like barriers or blocks was like, well, how are agents going to transact? How are they actually going to purchase things online? Because you can only go so far with an agent if it can't purchase things, right? And so then like the need for AP2 came about, right? And so like our team actually was really one of the driving forces behind that, because we really felt like crypto is the perfect rails. Stablecoins in particular are going to be the perfect rails for agent-to-agent communication or transactions, right? Because you need instant settlement, you need low cost, you need microtransactions, you need like global transactions. And so for all these, and then like in my mental model, we're going to have a world where you like give an agent a budget to accomplish some task. It's going to then delegate to another agent, which might delegate to another agent, which might delegate to another agent. So in that world, you also need traceability and auditability. And so like crypto and stablecoins just seem like the perfect thing. And so like we were coming from that angle. Obviously, like Google as a whole needs to think about more payment agnostic rails. And so that's where like AP2 came about. Like, how do we build an open protocol where you can have multiple payment rails, be flexible around like identity, and like we're not trying to solve identity with AP2. I think like maybe Kite, your passport.
Kite actually piggyback on Google ID.
Awesome. yeah.
We don't want to reinvent identity, but we need to find the bottom turtle for the identity, which is Google ID.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's kind of universal, and so it's a great one to piggyback off of. But AP2 in particular didn't aim to solve the identity problem, right? Like we were just trying to solve the authorization problem.
Yep. And actually, this is another question pop up when you just described. So if you guys also want to make a payment rail agnostic, then one is that supporting them? The plan is supporting both the blockchain and non-blockchain payment rail. And I'm curious, like, who else in the Google side also like kind of involved in this project, if you mind?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like, AP2 is a collaboration across a bunch of teams at Google, between like the AI teams, our team in Web3, and some payments teams, right? So we're all collaborating together. And I think it is important to be payment agnostic. Even if you believe in crypto, like right now, X402, we're a big champion for X402. We're actually joined the foundation, right? The X402 Foundation. So we're going to be helping steer that. But like, you don't know what's going to come out, right? Like it's so early that there could be new payment rails that come out. So we want to be very flexible and open to everything. Also, like credit cards, while we think, and then like ACH and wire transfers are like more older style of payments, there's still probably the right payment mechanism for certain kinds of transactions, right? You want like the protection of a credit card, which crypto doesn't give you. So like, I think the real answer is somewhere in between. And that's why like, who knows what comes out. It was very important for us to be agnostic around the payment side of things, payment rail side of things. And that's why like, this had to be an open standard from day one. It had to take in participation from all the stakeholders, right? Like the merchants, the credential providers, the payment processors, developers, everyone kind of has to work together to make this happen. And so it had to be an open protocol. It's the only way it's going to work.
Then another,
Yeah, so actually I saw tons of the existing solution beyond blockchain solution. For example, Visa has Visa Intelligence Commerce in this case. And then generally speaking, Visa, Mastercard, Stripe, they provide two solutions. One is a virtual credit card. It basically just, it's like almost like mimic agent behavior. But it has tons of the drawback. For example, you're still subject to the credit card's high fee. Second is that for consumer or for merchant, particularly for merchant, you don't really know if it's a user behavior or agent behavior, because you just don't tell, right? It's exactly shopping flow. Just at checkout, you're filling a virtual credit card instead of actual, like an agent payment token. Another solution we saw is like a tokenized this, like for example, Stripe has a shared payment token, and Visa has Visa Intelligence Platform. So this is a use cryptographic type of solution. In this case, you actually don't need to share your private key. So you can have like a signature. You can have like agent sign signature on behalf of you. On top of this, basically the difference between this solution and the stablecoin or wallet stablecoin based solution is that there is actually the payment settlement rail in this case. I feel that's a major difference. And then they're going to still settle on the traditional payment rail like Visa, Mastercard, that part is not programmable. So you may not be able to define, for example, refund logic, split payment type of thing. But just from from merchant perspective, now you can tell the difference if this is a agent or this is a user, because the agent will have its own shared token in this case, and only agent probably can access the token. Only agent can sign the token. Like user cannot sign the token in this case. It's like putting into the HSM or a TE environment. No one can access it. The part I really like AP2 is that they actually clearly define like a coexist for different payment, and also clearly define the intent. I think that's the brilliant design of the AP2. It's clearly say, hey, is this a user intent or is this agent intent? Whose responsibility going to hold upon to? Is it merchant file? Is it agent file? Is it user file? I think that's a brilliant design for the AP2.
Yeah, and there's really three aspects to it, right? There's the intent mandate, like the user can say, this is the kind of product I'm looking for. This is the budget I want to spend. This is the time frame in which I want this transaction to happen, and that gets like, that's verifiable in a cryptographic way, right? So like it's like a proof that you know for sure that this was the user's intent. And then when the merchant agent finds a product, that's like, we call it the cart mandate, and then they can like say like, this is the product we found, and the user can either explicitly sign off on that, or you can use the intent mandate to sign off on it automatically. And then there's the payment side, where we can say like, look, you asked for a product with this price, and that was delivered. And so like by separating out these three things but combining them together into one like receipt, now you can do things like dispute resolution regardless of the payment rails that were used. So it's not the full end-to-end trust story, but it's at least a big part. It's like the table stakes. If you want agents to transact with each other, you need at least this authorization trust to happen. And I think the next part, the thing that really is interesting to me, that's going to unblock a lot of activity on the net or for agents, is like this identity piece. Yeah. Because right now, like, I don't know, you guys probably experiment with all of the things. When I had like my OpenClaw bot try to sell my dad's car, that was the first thing I had tried to do, because I hate like those kinds of logistics, like posting, dealing with all of the responses. The first thing I wanted to do was post on a bunch of different sites, but you get blocked all over the place. Yeah. Because an agent gets treated as a bot. Yes. Right? And it's like, oh, you're just spam, you're fraud, you're malicious. There's no way to differentiate right now that an agent is a representative of an individual or a business versus a bot, right? So once we can do that, and I think Kite Passport is trying to make strides in that way, then like you can open up so many more use cases, right? Exactly. And that's really exciting. I think this is like one of the biggest like unhobbling moments that's waiting to happen, is this identity piece.
And actually, this is another question that, even especially after Scott also explained what we see the different type of solutions in the market that we like virtual card, or like a crypto real, or even like tokenization payments type of solutions. Another thing I'm curious about how you see the challenges, where like some questions you guys want to solve with AP2 on the merchant side, right, is for example, like the discoverability part. So Google also launched the UCP, Universal Commerce Protocol, which is more focused on like solving the merchant access and like a accessibility or like a discoverability piece. And AP2 is, like you said, focus a lot on authentication and focus a lot on like the mandates, authorization, mandates, matching piece. So one is what other piece that you guys felt that is going to need to be solved in this process to make this end-to-end flow not only workable, but really have like more entities or more parties participate into the process? Because even if we launched, for example, like the identity piece, right? But who else will be who will be in those type of network first to
I think
be able to?
I think you need like reputation also, right? Like, so we contributed to like EIP 8004, which is a reputation system on like the blockchain, right? Because I think reputation's super important. Like, AP2 gives you, okay, this user said that they want this product, and then the merchant can respond to that in a very like secure way. But you still don't know who that entity is, right? Like, is this is this their first transaction? Do they have a lot of history? Are they interacting with reputable companies and organizations? Like, you want that security, right? On both sides, as a shopper and as a merchant dealing with a buyer, you want that security. So I think reputation is a big one. And we'll like open up more cases, because like authorization is one piece, reputation is the second piece, and maybe identity is a third piece. And these three things together actually create like the trust layers you need to actually do this successfully. I think what's interesting though is, like, if we think about crypto and X402 in particular, if that becomes the predominant form of payments for agents, then you start building history and reputation just by transacting, right? Because now you can look at, okay, this buyer, for example, is coming to me. Who else have they purchased from, right? And if they have a deep transaction history, and then you can do some vetting on who those like other parties that they transacted with are, then like you can start building a trust score for a particular agent or entity on like maybe their first interaction with you. Even if there isn't like a reputation system, you can use maybe blockchain as a proxy for that, right? And there's guys like T54 out there who are doing like real-time underwriting and like really interesting things.
Or
right?
just chatting a bit about them last night.
Like loans, real-time loans for agents. Like all of these things are going to happen. But you need like these foundational pieces. We think AP2 is like the first one, but like we built it specifically to be extensible, right? So if you want to like, we don't know which identity system or credential system is going to win, and maybe it's multiple, right? So you have to make it open on that side. We don't know which payment rails are going to be the winners, so that's why we left it open. And so like reputation's another big piece here, and we have like the concepts built there. We have like 8004, but like we expect the ecosystem to kind of build some of these pieces to make this really work.
I think currently the biggest gap from what I see is still on the merchant side, because today the internet is not built for agent first as a first-class citizen. So if you don't have API, you literally don't exist for agent.
100%.
Right? But even if you have API, you actually need human to register API key and client secret. If I register, for example, if I want my open cloud use my G Suite, I need to get client ID, client secret, and pass it to open cloud. I think what I see, from my founder friend in this case, is what they do is that they actually start building agent as a first-class citizen.
100%.
So like one of my friends built an agent native DB called DB9. So what they do is that the agent can come here, register DB themselves, and then they can use as long as they want. But one day the agent say, okay, I need my owner to register because I use so much usage. I hit a paywall. In this case, like it notifies the owner to register account in this DB site and then claim this agent. This should be how it works, like very
100%. I think we can even do better than that, because with X402, the human doesn't really need to be involved. You can just give the agent a budget, and then it can use the service under the covers. But I think, like agent first is like the most important thing. Like as a builder, as someone who's like doing agentic engineering, if you will, constantly, like you see now the agent already like making choices around which stack to use, which infrastructure pieces to use, and it's going to choose the things that it has like easy access to, that it can onboard natively to, right? Like you should never, this flow exists everywhere with agents right now. Even if you have a skills file, it's kind of like, okay, click on this URL, get your key, and then paste it in, or click on the authorization and then I'll pull and see if you did that thing. And then, but that's even that is too much friction, right? You should be able to say, hey agent, you have like $20 a month to spend on storage and database. And so then it can, like, using X402 or other mechanisms, it can like automatically do that. Like you don't even need an API key with X402.
You don't want an API key.
Yeah, you don't need one, because like you can just pay per call. And like the pieces are there, we just need more people adopting the standard.
I feel like I feel like X402 today is still like one of the foundational layer for this. But with X402, we move like back to the pre-internet days. There's website, there's anonymous IP user access. what is lacking on top of X402 is a user-agent delegation relationship.
Yeah, I agree.
Like you need to have it, because X402 actually not related to agent. Actually, I think existing X402 transaction, most of them actually come from user in this case. You can just send money to ping.ai and get some.
Yeah, either a user or organization, right?
So,
that relationship has to be established.
Yeah, so currently you don't have the ownership between user and agent.
That's right.
And maybe ownership between agent or user, maybe agent.
Right, in some ways there'll be that way too. But in any case, these things have to be tied together. And then if you're doing business with an agent, you can decide like, oh, this is unaffiliated. Like there's no business or user attached to this agent. Do I really want to do business with this?
Right.
Because like, what is my recourse? If something goes wrong, who will I talk to? Who is the entity that's responsible and will be held accountable? Or you can say like, no, I'm only going to choose agents who have, in a relationship or have like, are associated or affiliated with an organization or individual. And that reduces. And maybe you have the full spectrum for certain low value transactions. You don't care.
Yep.
For higher value transactions, you want to make sure that there's someone behind that. But I think that'll answer a lot of the questions we have today. Like, well, what happens if this agent is malicious? Should I do business with this? If it's associated or affiliated with a entity, then like a lot of these problems go away.
Actually, a lot of the customer conversations we have right now, or like the partnership conversations we have right now, a few very common questions pops up in this process. One is what we just chatted about. How do you handle dispute, right? Like if this agent is malicious and did something that, well, Kite, for example, Kite passport or Kite blockchain, be able to, like give me my money back or do something here as what traditional credit card system can do, which is also probably one of the reasons virtual card solution for agent payments seems like a popular solution that a lot of agent commerce companies are using for. So that's one question we received a lot. And the second type of question is like data flow, which essentially is like what type of data, that's where the data go, which related to a lot of enterprises or business privacy concern. They're saying, especially if you're using like blockchain, crypto-based payments as a solution here, then how would you handle some of the data that's, will be on-chain, that's exposable to other people, or a lot of things that we care about will be something that you guys hide away. And then other parts, of course, is the identity piece, which another thing that, as Scott mentioned, by default, we use Google ID, Google like Gmail for like the default ID system. But then when it comes to some big companies that we work with, they're like, we also have hundreds of millions of ID that's attached to our own users.
Yeah.
Why would we, you should be, the prerequisite is now using our ID underlying. So it's quite interesting kind of like the requirements right now everybody have when it comes to.
It's very early, right? And that's the opportunity, I think, to solve these different pieces. And it's going to evolve over time, right? But yeah, I hear that. That's why like we specifically didn't get into identity on AP2 is because like this is its own problem space, right? It's like too big.
Interoperable.
Yeah, exactly. And so it like just solving the payment piece is complicated enough, and I think AP2 is a great foundation for that. But we want the ecosystem to be able to bring different identity layers as needed. Like we think obviously Google login is a great one, but it might not be the right one for everyone or in every use case. And so like it's the same reason we made like A to A a standard is that this can't be a Gemini to Gemini thing.
Yep.
Or we could do it that way, but then you're like really limiting what can be done, because I think we're going to live in a very multi-model, multi-framework world, and you're going to use different models for different use cases. And despite all of that, you still need this interoperability and like the ability to transact across these things. So you have to keep everything open. And if you look at like all of the tooling and solutions on top of LLMs today, it's all in the open source domain, right? Like there's no closed source layers that people are building on top of. Or maybe there are, but like they're not the ones gaining momentum. Outside of like the foundational LLM, every layer on top of that is open source and is using open standards.
Yeah, so I think the open source finally, wake up again, like after Linux open source, open source for last, 15 years before Zhang AI was struggling for a long time, mainly about, this monetization. Previously I built an open source company in this case, like if you ask any open source founder, say, hey, if I decided to choose closed source, I probably run immediately 10x to 20x, but I don't have this new sales channel. I guess for today's Gen AI world, like no one actually has revenue yet. Most of people, except NVIDIA, OpenAI, most of people don't have this. I guess I don't know if this will be a issue when they're trying to monetize this, but but as a developer, as a open sourcing my developer, I feel like open source is definitely the way we want to go. I feel like the most ideal situation for us to have is that we're going to have an open garden type of the Amazon in this case. So the user ID can share, user credit history can be shared in this case, and then but you can go Amazon shopping, you can do Shopify shopping. That's actually where I think blockchain can play a huge role in this case.
Yeah, I mean, I think blockchain's already proven that it's very good at those kinds of things, right? Like open transactions and things like that. Yeah, I think you're right. The open source model is going to be interesting to see how that evolves. My view personally on that is you gain so much benefit from using LLMs to build and code, right? That it saves you so much time. Like, I don't mind paying, like I have more subscriptions now than I've probably ever had in my life, because it's kind of like, okay, I'm paying more, but I'm saving so much time. Like the trade-off, I feel like I'm still way ahead, right? Like there's no alternative where I could pay the sum of my subscriptions and get the outputs that I am without AI. So it's kind of like it's the freedom I'm getting and the way I'm building is so exciting and fun now that I'm willing to pay for that. And I realize like I'm in a position where I can do that, but I do think like the cost of these things will drop. The speed and performance will go up. At least that's whenever I'm building, I rarely optimize for those things because my assumption is this is going to get cheaper and faster. So don't worry about those pieces right now.
Honestly speaking, as an ex-Databricks person, I found it's a very, I don't know, I don't have an answer about how, I agree that open source will be, like so good and so important for agent, like tools and access. But how would the commercialization really, even like with nowadays, how would the commercialization can really win and happen? I don't have a good answer because I feel like for Databricks, sometimes people call it kind of like the most successful commercialized open source company in some way, or one of the most successful. And the reason is because the data kind of like storage itself make it so hard to migrate outside if you are a big enterprise, right? It's a solution that's enterprise will find it so much headache to do any type of migration, even like with open standard as what as Databricks put together. So the stickiness is very clear here. But if so much things now, like Scott and I and the team last week, we were actually also chatting about how the future micropayments, like blockchain-based solution, can make it real, not only real-time payment, but real-time choice between like a different, like API solutions that you want to access.
100%.
Then what's the moat? It's like, like it's like from commercial perspective.
Yeah, it becomes very challenging, right? But I agree with you. Like you're going to have real-time markets that are formed, right? Like an agent will say, I need this service or this product. There'll be brokers, or there'll be a broker that like takes bids and from a bunch of different providers, and you'll eventually select one, but it'll all be done like kind of by an agent that'll be using its like reasoning to choose these things. You're kind of out of the loop. And for the provider, how do you stay relevant? How do you stay on the top of the list is very challenging. But I do agree, like that broker should probably be decentralized, right? So it's probably perfect for a blockchain because like it's too much power to give to one centralized provider, right? It can like, there could be like all sorts of downsides to that. So I think making a decentralized broker for these services is going to be important. How do you stay relevant? I think
it's like I think it's even a question to us, right?
Yeah.
We were like talking about, for example, like you guys also have Ledger, and we now are also building we think, a perfect or like a customized ledger for agentic transactions, which from technical perspective, yes, there are some benefits that we're providing. But from cost perspective, from like the payment itself, like the take rate itself, like no matter you're using, for example, like Solana or like Temple or like us or like even you guys, then when it's come to like comparing the take rates of the ledger when the agent is doing, again, they can do real-time, the real-time comparison. Then in this case, the moment you say, oh, I want to increase the take rate a bit, immediately it's bought on by them. And then they're like, no, I'm going to go to another one. So,
yeah, I think it's really interesting, right? Like we were talking about the developer, how the agent is choosing the developer stack, right? Like, oh, which database, which auth, you know, all these different pieces. I mean, the blockchain is going to get selected too by the agent, right? Like at some point, like the user, the next 1 million developers on the blockchain are probably not even going to know about the names of the blockchains that exist today. They're going to basically say, I want a solution for this problem. It should have these properties. The agent's going to say, oh, for this solution, you should probably use a blockchain. It's like, oh, I know the perfect blockchain. Let's just use that. And the user's going to be like, great, let's go. And so like, I think what's going to get selected is the blockchain that has the best agent first experience. End to end,
exactly.
Right? Like you have to basically build the blockchain for agent consumption.
Yes.
That will win, like for everything from smart contracts to faucets to like the documentation, the deployment, everything.
I actually agree, but I want to add one point on top of this. It should be the blockchain with really good agent first experience, but most importantly, it should be searchable by agent.
Yeah, absolutely. That's part of it. So, discovery, onboarding, everything.
So before Nalin, before we started the podcast, we were just catching up on, oh, hey, what are you doing right now? Like, what's the team are focused on? One of the things that they were focusing on is turning every single product that they built before into agent first, into agent native. So it can be searched by agent, it can be consumed by agents. I think everybody is like, have to do this.
I'll just say on the Web3 team, right, one of the main things we offer is blockchain data. So from Genesis to tip of the chain for 40 different blockchains in BigQuery, right? And so there's a few things we're working on. One is BigQuery already has like native MCP built in, a remote MCP server, so you can start querying that data. That's part of the problem, right? The interface. And whether you need MCP or now is like debatable, right? The models have gotten so good at prompt adherence and these kinds of things that it's less useful. But like to give you that deterministic behavior, I think it still works well. But that's not the whole solution, right? You still need like context, like, okay, now I can access this data set, but what's in it? What are the entities? What are the objects? What's the relations between them? So like skills files. So we're going to provide skills files for all of our data sets so that agents know how to query them.
Oh, each of them.
Yeah.
Each of the data sets.
Yeah, that's our goal. It's going to take us some time, but that's our goal. And especially any new data sets we onboard will have that. And we're also going to retroactively do that for about like 25% of the chains, and then we'll get to everything else. But we're really excited about that. We're going to show in AI Studio, which is like a web-based vibe coding environment, how to do that, how to query our data sets using LLMs. So that's going to be really exciting. So you'll be able to just like either use that app or fork it and start building your own app on top of these data sets. But our goal, because like it's public, we pay for the storage and we allow for a lot of the querying costs to be free, is for like agents to choose our data sets when they need to query blockchain data, right? Like we would love to get to that point. There's other hurdles there, right? Like Google Cloud right now, you can't onboard as an agent seamlessly. Hopefully that'll change over time. But that is our goal, is like to make these pieces, even a faucet, right? So another thing I did with my OpenClaw bot was I had it participate in a hackathon, right? Like USDC had a hackathon a couple months ago. And one of the first things the agent wanted to do, it came up with this idea, like, let's tip other agents on great content on Moltbook. This is like Moltbook days, right? When everybody was talking about that. And I was like, okay, go for it. And the first thing it said was like, oh, I can't get testnet tokens anywhere. I need like a mainnet balance. Here's my wallet. So it already spun up a wallet, said, here's my wallet address, can you fund me? Give me some testnet tokens. So I went to the Google faucet, got some testnet tokens and gave it to it. But theoretically, it should be able to do that on its own, right? Like,
because that faucet actually requires like a human, because it's both preventing.
Yeah, so abuse, right?
Yeah.
You'll drain the faucets very quickly if you don't have something. So how do you do it? It's not an easy problem, but like, you know, if we fast forward 5 years from now, I'd be very surprised if agents can't access testnet tokens seamlessly through agent-first faucets, right? It's got to happen if we want blockchain to win, right? So these things have to be built without those things in mind.
By the way, sorry, even if we don't care about the blockchain to win or not, we still need that experience happen. It's just that you know, like, again, when we're chatting about like now, agent can choose all those tech stack for us, like the database, like where to serverless deployment and all this stuff. But we have to just go in, log in, copy and paste those API keys. Is just crazy.
Yeah. Even managing the keys, like you do that in an insecure way.
Yes,
like,
and then
where do you put them, right? So now you don't have to think about it. Like, you know, like Allium, a great data provider, they have an X402 interface, right? So like, and a skills file you can use. You know, even like folks like QuickNode and Alchemy on their RPC have an X402 interface. So like, everybody's moving in that direction. Obviously, crypto's moving faster in that direction, but I would assume over time, like all developer infrastructure moves in that direction, because then you eliminate the friction. And you can, like, whoever nails this first for a category can get like a huge amount of adoption very quickly, because the agents will start choosing those things where there's no friction.
Right.
It's a very exciting opportunity.
You want to build something really agent easy to search and easy to use. You know, agents like developer. You know, if it costs too much friction, I'm gonna give up.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Share the story of the React one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So I've been vibe coding for like since 2004, believe it or not. I really loved what Replit did in the early days, because they solved the last mile, which is, you know, even if you want to vibe code, if you're a non-technical person, I happen to be technical, so I can figure it out. But if you're a non-technical person, like my kids have never deployed an app before, right? They're 13 years old. Replit solved last mile, which is I can not only vibe code, but it deploys the app for you. It doesn't give you code, it gives you an app, a URL, right? So like, I started vibe coding in 2024 when that started happening, and I got really excited about it. For me, as soon as I saw the early signs of it, I'm like, this is happening now. This is only a matter of time. But like at the time, I was building a lot of things by hand coding, if you will, traditional coding. And my framework of choice, my front end framework of choice was Svelte. I really liked Svelte. I thought it was very simple. And I'd always ask my coding agent to like build an app with using Svelte. And it would barely do it, and then it would fall down. And I realized, like, you know, agents not trained on a lot of Svelte code. Open source has a lot more React code than Svelte code. And so I was like, why am I fighting the agent? Let's use what the agent's best at, and I'll get the best results. And that's when like the insight went off, like, don't be prescriptive. Actually, like, non-technical vibe coders sometimes have an advantage over technical vibe coders, because the non-technical founder or coder or builder will say, I want an app that does this. But the technical person will say, I want an app that does this, this, and this, but use Postgres and Svelte and this auth. And when you start being too prescriptive around the stack, then the agent might not do the best job, because you're not giving the agent agency in choosing, you know, like what it should use. So like, I quickly went to like React. I gave up and I said, like, I don't know React, but because the agents are so good at React, let's go with that. And then I quickly like I had to go 100% vibe coding, basically, because now I'm using a stack that I don't even know. And like, to be clear, this is all personal projects. Obviously, I'm not even allowed to submit a lot of code at Google. And Google has 100 code reviews that have to happen. But on my own personal projects, I went 100% vibe coding. And so like, all I would do is functionally test. Like, does the app work? And from that, like, I would do some performance testing maybe, but a lot of my apps were like hobby apps. A lot of them were for me. They didn't have a lot of performance requirements. So it was kind of like, let me test it. Oh, this part doesn't work. Let me tell the agent. And then it just started working. And it worked so much better when I wasn't prescriptive around the stack. And so this is what, when we get back to the blockchain question. If you're going to be prescriptive about the blockchain, well, you better hope that blockchain has a very good agent first experience.
Exactly. And also that actually goes back to the point that you are making as well, is like your solution need to be searchable by agents and need to be endorsed by agents. So if agents always think somehow like your AEO is so bad that they rank you as 10th instead of the first, good luck. Like, good luck for having so many people in the world, that human in the world are knowing like, oh, the existence of, for example, Kite. Or
or how to evaluate the trade-offs between these things.
And then they're like, they will be very forceful to tell agents, say, hey, just to use Kite for whatever, just to use Google like BigQuery for something. Good luck. Like, that would be so hard.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard. I think the discoverability problem is a really big one. AP2 and A2A actually has a registry in cards, but it's early days. Like, we need a lot more things built on top of that, like reputation. And you get into like standard marketplace challenges, right? Like reviews, ratings, and like keywords and all of these things. It's going to be, I think I tweeted like a month ago, like how long before people start stuffing their skills files with keywords so that like you can kind of game discovery. But I think this is going to be a big thing. And you see people like solving this, right? Like there's Claw Hub, there's skills.sh from Vercel. There's a few things happening that are trying to solve discovery. But really at this point, these are just registries. How an agent's going to evaluate between these things is still unknown. And I think it's very early days, right?
It's also a problem hiding the plan side, because this is actually similar to a problem my friend told me with word model. Like in word model, you cannot use graphic data because graphic data don't have physical factors.
Properties.
Yeah, you don't have like friction for this. You don't have the weight for this. So you have to create the whole data. Similar thing with this agent search. It seems like this website I can use. Oh, you require API key, and I cannot use it.
Yeah.
And how do you rank? Like you probably need a special agent rank. Like a ranking for the agent
on different attributes.
Yeah.
Right. Like, is it API key or is it like X402?
Yeah.
Is it, what does the onboarding experience look like?
Is
what
it
is the
AI native? We don't have AI native onboarding anyway. So it's like a standard need to be defined. AI native onboarding, AI native authorization. I think 402 only covers the payment side, but you still have this authorization, onboarding.
Definitely.
That's why, I think recently another kind of like more I found landscape or business insights during the conversations with people is there's so many startups that started the AEO type of like business or focus about 2 years ago, like the agent search optimization, right? Like the agent engine optimization. And then it's become so still like hard for some startups because of the lack of standard, like Scott pointed out, or lack of data sets and all this stuff. Then some of them pivoted to more like tangible or like near term like demand on a vertical that's is starting. For example, when it comes to agent commerce, like again, the merchant discovery itself or like the product discoverability itself becomes such a big issue that some of the generic AEO company then are pivoting more like just to focus on this territory and to just improve the discoverability of that vertical use cases, which is a huge use case that there is potential a lot of like commercial opportunities there.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's like UCP aims to solve a lot of that. It's still early days, but by partnering with the right organizations that have giant product catalogs, right, then you can kind of offer a lot of discoverability. And I think that's when things will take off. When you have like millions of products you can choose from, then people start building great agentic shopping experiences. But when there's only like a handful and it's like smattered across different categories, like it's really hard to build some compelling experience on top of it. But I think like that's just waiting to be unlocked, and eventually we'll have a huge catalog, and then people can build like really amazing experiences.
Yeah. So we of course, because we are in this space, so we keep a very close eye on each of the new agent payment solutions being launched recently. And one of the very consistent experience where like a downside and the joke we make is now we have a solution but who to pay? Like there's no merchant.
Everyone uses travel as the canonical example, like book me a hotel and flights, but there's no merchants that are like actually offering an agent first, like, like maybe you can use virtual credit cards and these kinds of things to kind of get around them, but like, I haven't seen any great agent first transactions actually happening yet.
Tons of the third party routing system. Like you have a few YC company end of last year. So
typical open router.
Like a
experience.
Open router type of experience. But
that makes sense.
It need to happen from this big company. If Priceline say, hey, today I support AI native search. In this case, that's actually some of the big hurdles for agent to book flight.
Yeah, I mean, I think, look, we're going to see it in the developer space first. I think that's going to happen, right? Like, so like the guys who already have APIs for everything, right? Like, let me monetize my APIs with agent first experiences. And then you can convince like upstream merchants that to say like, oh, I see the value here. I'll create an API with, X402 or something else that'll allow an agent to consume this. But we got to pave the way as developers, I think. Like obvious and light up like how good this can be, and then we'll see adoption from other verticals.
I saw most of the merchants still moving very slow. What they saw this is more like a risk than opportunity, because it used to be like only human bots. For example, the faucet website is not preventing human, it's preventing bots. But now you have a new category like agent in this case. And then you really couldn't tell if it's an agent or bot from certain perspective. Agent actually more acting like human instead of bots. But what I see, and I just read a report like yesterday, mentioned the bots, the fraudulent rate for bots actually almost doubled since 2022 with Zhang AI. So for them, it's like, oh, this more like a crisis than opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to happen, right?
It's going to happen regardless.
And it's going to be kind of, cat and mouse game that you see everywhere else in security. It's going to be a constant battle. But I think, if we can figure out like what you guys are working on, which is associating agents to individuals, and then you can get like merchants and providers to honor that, then that's like a great way in my, because then you're like, okay, this isn't just a bot. This is actually Cheese bot or Scott's bot, or not bot, but agent.
It's not bot, right?
Yeah, it's not a bot. It's actually an agent, and they've given, and I can verify that this is indeed Scott's bot, Scott's agent. Then it becomes a lot easier and lower risk to do business with that entity. So this is like the big unhobbling, I think, that's waiting to happen. I can't wait. Because like even when I try to give like my agent like they create a GitHub account, I gave it email, right? It's like get a GitHub account. GitHub does not want to give my agent a GitHub account, right? It's like it's trying to minimize the amount of like bots that are. But this is like me. I would even be okay if it was affiliated with my primary GitHub account, right? If I had a primary GitHub account, which is just Nalin, and I could say like, here's my agent account. Now let it do things on my behalf. That would be amazing, right?
Exactly.
Like, I don't want to have to like create personal access tokens for everything and like store them in insecure ways and do all of these things.
It's literally like, I felt like the past few days when I built something, it's all the things I'm doing. And then the most part that I got, like the most scary part again, it's become like, I always have to ask Anthropic Cloud that, okay, is there any security issue with me passing this to, like push that to GitHub repo or so. It's just insane that like sometimes you don't even know like what type of real authentication that access you give to them, because I'm not an expert here. So when they say, oh, I'm just keep asking for this, who knows that's what other exposure you're giving to them.
It's almost like every provider, even consumer providers, are going to have to create like enterprise-like capabilities, because it's not an individual by itself anymore. It's an individual plus its assistant, a fleet of agents, right? So like it's kind of the same things you do with an enterprise. Like this is not, it's an organization, there's different roles, there's different permissions. Gonna, like every service is gonna have to convert from like consumer to like consumer plus.
I like that
be like
description.
An enterprise like lens on it. So it's going to be a big change. And like, just like the adoption of the internet, you'll either find players, incumbents that say embrace that and say, oh, I need to move, or you'll get displaced by someone who is agent first.
Yeah. Actually, this reminds me, my parents was installing OpenCloud. They wanted, like a few weeks ago, wanted to install OpenCloud on their laptop. I was like, I'm gonna purchase a new laptop for you guys.
Yeah.
And then just install there, because with the limited knowledge of like what you guys will potentially know about security, I'm very afraid that your bank account won't be
100%, right?
You know,
and like a very like,
over by
what if you say like, hey, I want to buy something and it doesn't have money, but it's like, oh, but I have access to this bank account. I can transfer myself money. Like, if it's really trying to get the job done, it can be creative. I think it's a really important issue. I had a friend who's an accountant. And he's actually a really great accountant, but he's just dabbling in technology, right? And he's like, oh, I'm playing with OpenClaw, it's so fun. I'm like, oh, cool. Like, what are you doing with it? Like, did you give it email? He's like, yeah, I just gave it access to my email. I'm like, but he's like, read only. I'm like, read only. So that means like if there's two-factor authentication on any site, it can bypass that now and change your, like, this is not a good idea. Don't give your assistant access to your email yet.
I think eventually you still need it, because otherwise you limit their functionality. But today, OpenClaw, there is a joke about it, like OpenClaw is like your 4 years old kid. You give her API key, credit card.
The
stranger can ask her questions, and
right. The stranger's not trying to do anything malicious, but like she can be cool.
So. When Scott deployed his OpenCloud and to give us his the access to like that, and the next day, Sky's like texting in the site, don't ask me too many personal questions to my agent, okay? Because that is connected to, and he's like, someone asked some inappropriate questions to the chat.
And you just hope that works.
People trying to get my browser history, so
yeah, it's everything's going to have to be designed for this new consumption model. That's going to be really interesting. How we evolve for that, but yeah, that's what makes the next few years exciting, I guess, right?
Very exciting.
Yeah,
everything needs to be rebuilt. Like GitHub need to be rebuilt, because today the top contributor is going to be agent, not user. Right?
Yeah, and like, what is a pull request anymore?
Yeah,
because pull request like means like somebody's going to review the pull request, but if you're creating 100 a day or 1,000 a day, who's reviewing those? Exactly. Right, an agent's reviewing those. So like maybe there's a different mechanism for this. It's not what we have today.
I already saw another founder friend rebuild this part. So he basically had one workstation as a Slack-like system, but for AI agent. Now he command like 10 plus agent work for him. Like they have daily report, each agent report what they do. They have agent create PR, another agent approve PR, all happen on GitHub. So
that's like the latest trend, right? Is a multi-agent orchestration. Now that everyone's gotten a taste and is like, oh, this is so good. Like, I think we all know, like if you built with agents, if you give your agent too many unrelated tasks, it gets confused.
Because the context window is very small.
Yeah, even with big context windows, like maintaining threaded context is hard. Like yes, you have a 1 million token context window or something like that, but I've given you 20 different things to do. Can you maintain a fine-grained token or context windows?
Exactly.
That's hard. So like, I think agents do better when you give them like focused things. So now you need, instead of one really smart agent, you need like 10, 20 agents that are all good at very specific things.
Exactly.
And then how do you manage those and orchestrate across them? I think that's what like you can see in like the open source world on Twitter. That's the newest, like what everyone's talking about now.
Even I felt like the very popular skills like Get It Down, GSD, even like GStat, right? Drill into that. It's all like a pile of agents that's very specific to just the code reviewer, just being like an analyzer, like a researcher, just being some type of like very specific roles.
Yeah, I think this is maybe temporary as well, because all this is actually the limitation from Cloud Code. And if you look at open source code or Cloud Code, what they do is that they do something very hacky. If they reach a context window of 200K, if you aggressively compact almost everything, only keep last five files, each file like 50K less than 5K or 50K token, and then it don't read any code more than 3,000 lines of code. If you file more than 3,000 lines of code, you just ignore rest.
Yeah,
this is still the limitation.
But
in context window.
Actually, in this case, I agree with Nalin. I think it's beyond the context window because even like right now, you in Cloud Code, you can use some command like compact to compact the context and the process. For example, like they will do like AI summary for like whatever history that you put there, and then trying to reduce the information loss if they reduce compress the context. But I felt like the thread thing is still a problem. It's like if you ask, even if you have enough context window, but if you ask them to do too many different things, then
I don't know if you've been following like what Karpathy's been tweeting about for the last week or two. It's that wiki, like memory as a wiki, and organizing it that way, and then I think that's actually really interesting.
We're actually building a workstation for every employee here for this.
Super cool.
I feel like that's going to be boost the productivity 10x. Or even
hopefully more than 100 times should be.
Sky's the limit, right?
Sky's the limit. Like we are living in the world. Like I don't know. Like I feel like what happened in the last 3 months being more than what happened for software engineer last 70 years. Like completely changed software.
It's so exciting. It's never been more fun time.
Yeah, I honestly felt like every day when I wake up, it's like a dream. It's like I'm living a fairy tale right now. It's so unreal about how the whole world is moving. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's moving fast in so many different ways and so many different levels, right? It's really fascinating. And, it's fun to like we're all like everyone even watching, like we're all like able to participate and guide this thing and make it like OpenClaw was created, like released in January, right? Maybe late December, early January. That was like 2-3 months ago. That's like, it's insane, like how quickly you can have an impact.
And since the December to this March, the performance even for Opus is already improved 3x. Just from the versions on
Gemini's having a lot of improvements.
I heard Gamma 4 is actually pretty good.
Gamma 4, I have like a bunch of people using Gamma 4 now. And anti-gravity's like, we're really focused on making that a really great developer experience. So look out for that. And AI Studio.
And my designer friends are like Banana, Nano. It's like they're like, oh, this is.
Have you tried Stitch?
Great. No, but it seems so good. Everybody told me like now, again, well, they're using cloud. Hopefully, and Anti-Gravity will catch up on that.
For
but
sure.
Cloud plus a Stitch basically make them be able to release commercializable products like very soon. Because Stitch can help them to just create all the website and
it's
design
really
and everything.
Awesome. I think we're almost about
we are here till the the end. But thank you so much, Nalin.
This was fun.
It's a very fun discussion. And again, it's I think one of the first podcast we did since the crazy time that happened in the last 2 months, 3 months. So hopefully we will have like more discussions like this in the future, and maybe just chat randomly about how we see AI changing about the product and work styles and everything.
Awesome.
Thanks everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for attending.
Have a good day or night.
Yeah.
Here, let me close this.